Hello guys, this is leathertoolz. Today I'm going to talk about almost everything about edges and how to select them, what's really good and bad, and what's really up with edges. So, I kind of started to do this series on like kind of summarize, almost really trying to get down to conclusions. Yeah. So if you guys have noticing, I've done a lot of tool review videos, and I think it's about time to really conclude some of the things that have done reviews on, so that I think it's a good practice to see um, how I can really conclude my ideas and opinions on each tool. So first, it will be edges. So these are the edges that are available for you guys easily, relatively easily for you. Certainly, these are not the um, all of the lists that you could buy. There are many more, and there are also a few other things that you need to go through if you don't need to buy them. So basically, these are the edges that you could buy if you really want. And so I say this is most commonly available edges. Now, so if I go through one by one, this is the leathercraft tools edges. This is Japanese tool edges. This is tool steel, more of a carbon steel edger. This is Kyoshinal high-speed steel edger. This is also made in Japan. This is Watercraft edger. This is D2 steel. This is Bear King edger. This is O2 tool steel. This is Ron's edger. This is 145 cm, 144 cm, sorry. This is vintage edger, flat bottom. This is carbon steel. This is antique blanchard, carbon steel. This is also antique, no brand, also carbon steel. This is the recent edger that I did review on, Doldoki edger. So these are most commonly available edges that you could buy on. I'll talk about the vintage edger first. So guys, if you look for online and if you look for tools, there are always this kind of edges, especially in tool lots with other tools they sell together. This is more English type edger. This is more of a French type. I believe this is also doesn't have name, but I believe this is also French manufacturer, I think, because of the design. Now, for the antique edges, first of all, their steels are very good. I should say they're still in the heat treatment back in the days, back in the old times, were very good. So even with a very basic steel, very basic carbon steel, they were able to produce high quality tools because they had the knowledge and they had the skills how to heat treat them properly to bring the maximum out of the steel. So these three is also a good choice. You can find them in good condition that you don't need to do much of the restoration. I did a lot of restoration on these two. I'm not sure if you can notice it. There were a lot of rust and pitting on these two, so I had to remove most of them and I had to sharpen them quite a bit. So it's really sharp now. The only reason that I'd like to say this may be not suitable option for your leather crafting is that I'm not going to talk about the sizes of the edger too much today because size makes everything too much complex. Yeah? But for vintage edges, size, I should say, even the smallest one, this is quite rare. This is Blanchard size number 1. This is vintage. Yeah. I say vintage all the time for Blanchard tools because their vintage tools worth and also functions and performs much better than the current made ones. So vintage Blanchard ones, yeah. Even the smallest one, this one takes a lot of edge. So if I show you example, so this is just a normal piece of leather, just cut, very freshly cut. So if I show you, so I will show you together with the piece that I cut. So this is the cut piece of leather that I just cut. This is almost size 3 or 4 This is size number 1, but of course all the size number 1 doesn't mean it doesn't correspond to other makers number 1. So antique Blanchard number 1 is equivalent to of today's size number 3 or 4 of other makers. So it takes a lot of edged out. So for your leathercraft work. So vintage tools, they are not designed for taking out fine leather work. So if I show you the another example on same piece of leather with fresh side on this one, I'll use this Japanese edger, the smallest one, size 00. If I show you the difference, yeah. So can you guys see the difference between how much they cut? Yeah. So it's very thin piece of leather to your eyes, also how it looks. So this is 00 leathercraft tools. This is Blanchard. Yeah. So it's a lot of difference. So this is suitable for your edge craft work, for your fine leatherworking. So for your leatherworking, fine leatherworking, for your making high quality leather goods, especially with your vegetable leather, I should say small size works always better. So except for certain makers, I suggest you to go for small size or one step less than smallest one. So this one is 00, so go for 0 or 1 size. Yeah. For other makers as well, this is Uta number 2. This is also good size. I already did a review on this tool, so if you are wondering, you can search my channel, Uta Edger. I say number 1 also good, number 0 is also good, number 2 is also good, but don't go beyond number 2. So number 3, number 4 might be too big. Yeah. So my opinion on this edger, and these are good edges if you are making belts, if you are producing very thick leathercraft work. These are very good edges. You can find them online. Certain tools are very expensive. So for example, this tool, for market value, good condition like this costs 60 to 70 euros. It's very pricey. Yeah, but it's definitely a piece of work, a piece of history. So I do like to have the collection of vintage tools. So I also recommend also try different tools before you go for the vintage tool, because vintage tools might be meaningless to you if you just buy it from the first place. So vintage tools, they are high quality, but then it's too big. Yeah, so you might want to say all tools are much better than the recent ones. That is true, but in terms of size, they are too big. So let's get them out of the picture now. For now, so there are other candidates here. So for if you are hobbyist, if you're a hobby leathercraft, and if you want to start as a beginner, don't go too much on your basic tool. So edgers are very basic tools. Sometimes you don't need it for certain work. For if you're using, especially for using chrome leather, not sure how your hobby will develop, but if you're using chrome leather, your edges will most likely useless, because chrome leather will not take the edges easily. Chrome leather is very soft and stretchy, so it will not cut the edges will not work properly on your chrome leather. Mostly it will ruin your edge if you're using on chrome leather. So these edge bevels are mostly for vegetable tan leather. So if you're going to use chrome leather and also vegetable leather mixed, your edger might be not used so often. So in that case, I should say go for with a cheaper option, and also which is also good. I find that the cheapest one, this leathercraft tools one, number 00, this one is quite nice for its money, for its size, and what you do with it, it's very nice and easy to sharpen as well. Yeah, and if you are heavy on your vegetable tan leather, that you are sticking with your vegetable tan leather, then you might look for better options, because this type of edges, they're made with a very simple carbon steel. They are heat treated with very well, good technique, but they were still just is not capable of holding the edge for a long time. So you need to sharpen them very often. They might reduce your performance on your leathercraft work because you're constantly sharpening them. Yeah. And if you're tired of sharpening them, you might go for premium brands such as Uta, Berry King, and also Ron. Ron edger lasts longest here, and Doldoki also lasts very long too. This one cuts the longest, and then this one, and this one. No, sorry, this one Uta cuts also quite long. This one the least, but they all perform very long time, and they reduce the fatigue that you sharpen them. So the main difference between expensive edger and the cheap edger is not the performance of how you make your edge beveled, but more of a how the steel holds its sharpness for a long time, so that you do the edge work more and more, how much you can produce this type of leather edge bevel work. This one you need to sharpen them more often. These one expensive ones you don't have to sharpen much that often than these ones. So that's the difference of this this price difference. So it reduces your time to maintain your tool's sharpness. Yeah, that's the only difference. The flat bottom, round bottom, I also talked about it before. If I repeat it here again, flat bottom tools, for example, this one is a flat bottom. If you see, the bottom is flat, so you do the edge work, but then your bottom is flat where you touches the leather, and it creates a sharp edge relatively than round edge. If it's a big edger, it is a problem, but then if it's a small edger, you can just sand it down. It's not a big problem. It's not a big deal. So don't think about flat bottom and round bottom too much. If you're also wondering, would like to know deeply about this difference, you can find it on my channel, round versus flat bottom edge. I also talked about it in the previous video. So that's that. Yeah. So, and that's the difference between the expensive edger and cheap edger. And also, I would like to point out the two things also about this expensive and less expensive. It's about aesthetics. So it wasn't like that back in the days, I think. It's more likely now, and how human perceive the beauty is that back in the days, these type of tools were just a tool. So this is vintage Blanchard again, but it has a really beautiful rosewood handle and this brass ferrule, and this creates a beautiful aesthetics to our eyes nowadays for recent modern humans. But at that time, these were just a common standard how they make tools. Yeah. And expensive edges like this one, it's just a highly configured, high quality wood, and just a good finish. It's like that. It's aesthetics. It's pleasant to use. Beautifully made tools in your hand to make a beautiful work. But for these cheap ones, their woods is kind of painted. You know, they are very basic wood. They're very cheap wood, and also has a very painted look. It doesn't look elegant. They do have a different wood option, but this is mostly the wood options that you normally get. So this is aesthetically not pleasing. Yeah. And these are the other options as well. This is rosewood. No, sorry, this is Wenge. This is rosewood. This is ebony. Now, this is also aesthetically pleasing. After a few tens of years, maybe later in the future, this will be also vintage, and this will be also this would look also beautiful later on. So wood is another thing. The handle, I say handle shape does not that matter too much. If you see all these vintage tools, they do have a common aspects and relatively similar aspect, but they all have a different shapes and sizes. I say handle sizes, handle design isn't a big role here. I say it in a confidence that don't think about handle design too much. Yeah, you don't have to worry about handle designs. Yeah, it's just the aesthetics. It's a different wood option. Now, last thing, cheap edges and the expensive edges, they are really big difference. So I should say there's two example with this one and this one. Now, so yeah, this one. So let's say, so this edge performs very well, same together, but as you sharpen them on your tools, there's a lifetime on your tools. So this one has a very small lifetime. Now this cheap one has a very small lifetime. This one is much longer lifetime because this have a different blade length along the edge. So as you use your tools, as you sharpen them, you're wearing down your tools a bit by bit, very small tiny amount. Yeah. And as you use them, this tool might lose this beak, this portion. Now after all, this might, after this is gone, this tool is gone, so you have to trash it. There aren't any edge left. It's very short. It's about 1 centimeter. But this one, however, it has a quite length. It has about 2 or 3 times length of a life left for your edger, like this. So it is a good investment if you're looking for long-term investment. So cheap tools, you need to buy them again, which isn't bad idea. I mean, if these tools are available in the future, why not buy them new? It's a new tool, so it's good. But then I don't know, if you are that kind of person, I don't want to say anything big negative about it, but that's just how it is. I want to tell you. And this one also very king, similar situation, has a quite a edge left, so you might use it a longer time. And this Blancher ones, vintage ones, or this no-name vintage ones, has the most life in their edger. Look at how they built their edges back in the days. See guys how long they are. They have this much of a length of a life left behind it, so you can use it until here. So this portion you need to wear down as you sharpen them. So they have a ton of life left longer than even with the high quality edger that we currently make. Yeah, so that is the difference. So these ones as well. So all tools made with wisdom, they have a tons of life left in their tools. So yeah, that's the idea of it. If I ever make edges for myself, I would like to forge my own tools. I'm going to forge the shape exactly how they shape it, their edges, like this. So I'm planning in the future I'm going to forge my own tool with my forging hammer. So if you guys are interested, to please subscribe to my channel. You'll definitely see me how I forge my own edger with traditional forging tools. So this is one of the projects I'm going to do in the future. So definitely wanted to subscribe to my channel. Please look forward to how I make these French or English traditional edges. Yeah, this is wonderful craft. Look at these curves. So I'm very big fan of this vintage tools. They are just there. There's a thing with the vintage tools. They are just aesthetically pleasing. They are well designed. Yeah. So this is there is no answer for this. I don't want to say buy this one brand, this one is the best. Of course there is a one for the money, of course, but there's ups and downs. So that's it. So if you're a beginner, if you're trying to look for which edges to buy, this is kind of summary of how I choose edger, how do I think about the edger, and what's up with the edger. That this is almost everything. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys next video. Bye bye.